Now, we all know how much Flash games impacted most of our childhoods. The sheer amount of nostalgia in these small bite-sized experiences will be enough to make some grown-ass men cry themselves to sleep in the club, and end up in their dreams as their younger selves, excitedly going through websites like Miniclip, YA, Newgrounds, Cool Math Games, Congregate, Muckley Gaming, Nitrome, etc. All these websites hosted many Flash, Shockwave, HTML5, and Unity games for different developers that, to say the least, differentiating quality. But don't get me wrong, there were plenty of classics, and I'm not just talking about fucking Sonic Motorbike. I'm talking gems that most people who play early web games hold in high regard, which is great that we can have this conversation, but how do those games hold in comparison to this? The year is 2010, and Flash developers Justin Goncalves and Addison R releases Raze. It was this 2D platforming shooter that was basically the building block for Strikeforce Heroes, but the main attraction was it being in space where you fight off aliens with your crew. It was fairly popular for a Flash game, so popular in fact that a year later when Raze 2 released, the Raze Online website was born, which would be a hub for updates on their games. In 2012, Justin, now the lead person of Sky9 Games, releases the trailer of a completely new title which retains the gameplay of Raze. The trailer showed a fairly striking jump in the art style, going from Mr. Longlegs over here to something bloodier and a little more cartoonish. And oh shit, voice acting? Addison R, who did art for the two Raze games, wasn't available for SFH, so Mike Sleva, the artist for the underrated Sleegiest Arena, stepped in. This was going to be something special. The vibe was going to be more grittier than Flash game could be with every mom giving you a second look. The reception was very positive on Raze Online, which the website would unfortunately shortly close thereafter. And on May 31st, 2012, Strikeforce Heroes dropped into the hands of bored youth worldwide on Not Doppler and Armor Games. The main track here is a rendition of When Johnny Comes Marching Home, and damn it dude, do the memories hit like a truck. You could play that track to anyone who played Flash games back in the day and they'd pop off would be insane. The main mode here is the campaign, which consists of 15 levels, with modes you expect like Deathmatch, TDM, Domination, CTF, fucking Pinball, you name it! You have 4 classes: Medic, Assassin, Commando, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'll be back.
They all have their own money, experience points, and very threatening weapons at their disposal. In the past, I mostly just stick with one class and I beat the game just fine, but for the sake of this video, I'll be switching through all 4 under weapons. You can change how bloody the gameplay will be and lower the resolution if your computer was a disaster class like how mine used to be running this. Other than that, we can now jump into the story. We start the campaign off as a scientist, who's probably hard at work finishing off the final patch to swine flu or something, until BAM! Ambush. And now you gotta bend your way through the state-of-the-art meth lab while the antagonists just chill around the bonfire. But replace the bonfire with a dead body and we're good. And fuck, nobody fixed the elevator. 2 broken legs later, we stumble upon an M4 and gunfight. Then you're saved by you. This'll be you. He helps you win by spitting one-liners and contributing absolutely nothing. And oh yeah, did I mention this game has voice acting as well? All of it is done by Sean Chiplock, who we may know as being the voices of these guys. And honestly, the work hasn't aged poorly in the slightest, which I commend. Next mission, you and the heroes fly off to some Cambodian village where you take down the Rebs. Now you can use the 4 classes I mentioned earlier, and try to get a feel for them as soon as possible. Speaking of feel, the guns all have that impact to them, and the reload animation is fluid and crisp, which really makes the mechanic. There's not much to say other than the map kinda looks like Jungle Jade from Melee. Let's get to a personal favorite of mine, Mission 3. You get shot down by some Soviet engineering. Down but not out. You fight on a damaged ship gliding down with only 50,000 feet of life left while you jump and shoot through fighter jets and military trucks hanging out for dear life. But the main thing that adds to the whole experience is the music. Like, that riff has no business with going this hard. The map is spacious and it has detail all around the art. Like those details over there showing how ensembled the whole plane is. And of course, how could I forget the beginning exchange?
What's going on here? They just attacked out of nowhere. I have no idea, sir. Well, we have 30,000 feet to find out.
After the fight, the guys parachute off the now destroyed plane and... Oh no, oh shit, no, oh no. Next mission is an emotional train wreck. Right off the bat, we're hit with the loss of Jenkins, our loyal comrade and good friend we've only known for like 10 minutes now, but damn it, was he a real one. And oh yeah, the rest of the squad is ridden with Zika virus, but who gives a shit, they're forgettable. Mission 5. We get needed info on the cause of Jenkins' death. The scientist was attempting to develop a toxin that kills the soldiers' will to fight, but conveniently, it made them angry. Then he sends us to find the cure before those guys show themselves again. By now, it's probably a good idea to upgrade your weapon since you've now allocated decent cash. You can buy kill streaks that can give you temporary effects on you and your body, and the skills just give you a buff on related stats. Back in the village, we get ambushed, of course, and afterwards we interrogate the Scoon, who then pulls the typical hey, I don't know anything, please don't kill me, what trope, and then proceeds to tell us where the bad guys reside. There we learn their real names, Globex, which then proceeds to get followed by some premier insight from Bull. When we gain access to their files, we come to learn that whoever runs the syndicate has interacted with Sunlight in at least 12 years. We also see a memo which orders the destruction of the research facility. You know, this one. And it's our job to stop them on the outside, which they give absolutely zero fight. And then the facility where I nearly get my ass kicked. Granted, I only had Bull with me, but what a weird jump. After another scuffle, a missile with the deadly toxin shoots off. Now we gotta stop the train! After 2 attempts, the nuke is still airborne. Well, time for the story to get funny. This mission was just me gunning down paratroopers. I died once, but that one death was a sign for things to come. A very, very bad sign. Mission 14, one final effort, second to last mission. And man, was this fight more challenging than feeding the 12 kids in my basement. I was dying so much that I was honestly stuck for an hour while I accidentally kept recording on OBS. I even grinded into custom game mode like that would do anything. But then, my knight in shining limestone was slid into my hands, and with that and a little more grinding, I finally beat this obnoxious, treacherous, and unfair 1v4. Thanks to the help of the Bounty Betty skill as well, which I definitely did not Google how to use effectively. I'll give this fight a 7 out of 10, for the 7 brain cells I shaved off in that time frame. And this is it. 1v1 against the head honcho of Globex. It's a back and forth, with him going whole ass SSJ4 mode, but with no tricks and tips, I scrapped it out at the end. We then get rewarded with the greatest one-liner ending in cinema, which gets topped off by the reveal of the scientist being a narc his entire time.
I'm sorry the virus got out of control. It's been contained.
Did you deal with that soldier?
No, but he has no idea about our true intentions. I was able to save some of the toxins and the cure.
Good work.
Thank you. And I'm glad you survived.
Well, that was the campaign, but the fun isn't over. There's still a whole ass 15 missions in challenge mode, which ends off with you fighting the creators. And there's still a good amount of achievements to achieve, but that's Strikeforce Heroes 1. I fucking love this game. The fact that everything feels and looks pristine for a Flash game is really telling something magical. I unfortunately never went into detail on the crew, but all the names and their voices are memorable. The map design did its job and the story never took itself too seriously. And the campaign progression was so fluid too, like how could they top this? Strikeforce Heroes 2, released on March 21st, 2014, is the first SFH game I've ever played. Yes, the second one, because 7-year-old me had no sense of shame. It's all forgiven because SFH 2 is basically the peak of the series. It keeps the majority of the mechanics the same, with a much more crisp UI and many more options for your soldier, which has gotten a bit of an overhaul. Virtually all the names have been reworked. It's got 9 games pulled the TF2 and added the at the beginning of every class. There's an extra slot bumping it to 5, and except for I think the general, they're essentially reskins. They all have their own character descriptions to complement the campaign, which is very welcomed. There's now 80 plus more weapons this time around. You can still buy them normally, or you can start your crippling gambling addiction early, and gain weapons like the minigun, a sick ass katana, flamethrowers, and even Zeus himself. There's still only 50 missions for the campaign though, which fine, whatever, quality over quantity. The story starts off in space, where Mick over here is sent up the ship to fix the servers. How, you may ask? You know, the tried and true method of whacking shit out of it, of course. Sorry I fixed it, but you simply cannot come close to some sexy brute force. He goes to report to Houston and...
What was that?
Huh. Guess you could say we have a problem here, am I right? No wonder Ashley took the kids. So, Globex is back with a vengeance, ready to pull the same shit for the second time. The gravity is absolutely hilarious here. They really made the ragdolls go zoop! There's still a big ass laser in the middle of the map, which I guess now should be considered an OSHA violation. Honestly, Apollo 13 would have been an even better event and movie if instead of the failures on the board, some goodies from a comically evil organization attacked. I do love how they reacted to the ambush though. Now the real story begins and our character rolls over to the Strikeforce Heroes base for a sparring. We meet the crew here, which consists of Nathan, who is boring as fuck, Jin, who encapsulates what every early 2010s COD player wished to be, General Bernard Montgomery, I mean West, is a former British general that ended up in Argentina, which with that information I'm starting to doubt if he's even from the UK. Tower is huge guy number 245, and Dex is a hard ass who's relevant later. I like this stage. It's spacious, there's machinery, it really fits what every morbidly obese kid from 2012 to 2015 wanted as a man cave. After a minute of gameplay, the squad is on board with our abilities and makes us a member. Just in time for Klobeck to Spider-Man vent crawl into an ambush. The 7th gen consoles sitting around probably have bullet holes in every side of the casing now. The couch will be kinda funny though. Looking for answers on Globex, we go find a now bad guy scientist, which Dex reappears for some reason. The market map doesn't have much going for it. It's a fairly big map and the neon lights and the nighttime feel in the city always carries. Sniping on top of the sign is easily peak gameplay in my opinion. Afterwards, we're greeted with a really uncomfortable close-up of the scientist, re-explaining what Globex soldiers are for the people in the back. Then he gives us the photo of a DNA specialist named Yagi, who's residing in this mansion. Dex is with us now, trying to save his absolute teasing to the edge reputation as a squad. This is probably my favorite map in the game, and the track here is so well done. We then find Yagi in his own basement, and he tries to explain how the hell a serum would take down radio waves from Globex. We're finally at the Globex base, and now the clone army is attacking us. And it gets a little challenging, I'm not gonna lie. Dex proceeds to push Flame to West with no reason to back it up, so let's see what happens next. Okay. Dex calls in some backup and attacks. He also manages to steal Bull's joke from the last game, but the squad is too busy going through the 5 stages of grief in front of him to notice. Afterwards, he flees to kill Yagi at his crib, which he does, and Yagi gets cloned by Globex, which also means bye-bye. So back to the marching for bad scientist McGee, who then joins the war effort. With his work, we see a satellite that's been controlling the clones this entire time, so you know what that means. I kinda wish it was on a different ship or something this time, but beggars can't be choosers. Since all the virus is successful, it's time to make the last stand all by yourself. The music has stopped, so you know it's gonna go down. And as you look forward, it's evident. Us versus Dex, 1v1. Battle for the ages.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
The objective now is to survive against waves of Globexers, while Mech is placed on the background, adding laser and missile hazards. And look who's controlling it. Since it is the second to last mission, it has to have stress levels kicked up to like 6. But with a little perseverance, we move on to the final. With the nuke disabled and our soup upgraded, we're ready to take the head honcho on, once and for all. The factory is blown wide open, and when the CEO of Globex tries to get out, my guy just clocks him on the jaw and the fight starts. You can basically camp a sniper on the side if you don't want it back and forth. But come on, what type of sicko would do that and completely destroy all the entertainment factor in the gameplay? If you watch out for the lasers and missiles shooting up the edge, the whole fight is another step down in difficulty, even with his goons spawning in. Man, I do wish these final fights weren't so anticlimactic. Last cutscene ends with another badass one-liner before we kill him once and for all. You can now replay the campaign on hard difficulties to 100% complete the game. Other than new challenges and now a funny ragdoll mode and quick match, that's basically it. These games never had a good final mission to the campaign in my opinion, and the narrative always seemed to follow a set formula. But the game wasn't meant to be mainly story driven. If the campaign was just a cutscene at the beginning and the game just gave me 15 levels to play, yeah, I would still enjoy it. But the story added charm to the experience, a building block to the strong structure that is the refined gameplay. Hearing all the voice acting for the first time was an insane experience. It felt like I was playing my own mini COD on my shitty Toshiba laptop. The characters were solid and memorable with different personalities, and SFH2 implemented even more of it. Like they really tried and improved fairly well in that aspect. There's not much else I can say, bro. I love this series. It's hard to pick between the first and the second since they're pretty much great in similar ways. Oh yeah, before I forget, there was a Strikeforce Heroes spin-off exclusively on a mobile called Extraction. It's a 2D runner like most games of the time. They had their specific characters like Jenkins' wife, and an SFH2 cast minus West because reasons. Unfortunately, you can't even play the game anymore unless you have an iPhone 4 laying around sideloaded with the game, plus an IPA, but you didn't hear that from me. But with that taken care of, thanks for watching. Yellow. A third game? The weakest link in the series? What do you mean? No story? Blueprints? Performance issues? What? Alright, give me a second. Oh dear. Strikeforce Heroes 3, released on June 24th, 2015, is a game I have absolutely zero history with. I tried opening it up during the 4th grade one day, but the school Chromebook did not have the capacity for such a task. I couldn't even alt-tab quick enough for the teacher to not notice me playing this game, so by proxy I already have a bad impression of this. Jokes aside, the main consensus on places like the SFH Reddit and Discord is that SFH3 is not very good, with a handful of issues spread here and there that gives it the bad rep. And don't get me wrong, I see it. The lack of VAs, the increase of bugs, and the insane bloat of levels with no rhyme or reason to exist but to fill space are many of the reasons that people dog on it. But honestly, is it really that bad? Did the good people at Sky 9 just take a small misstep, or is the game, including the core gameplay, really that atrocious? When we boot it up, we're greeted with the intro that follows the events of SFH2. We're at the Globex HQ, and now the scientist is now the fur of the establishment. He has cloned the Strikeforce Heroes crew from the last game, again, and now it's up to the task of a brand new crew to kill off the scientist. Whatever. So, you liked that intro, right? You did? Huh, that's cool. Because that's it for the next 48 fucking levels. The tutorial starts straight after, and as you can see, the stage art looks really nice, and the background complements well. The look of the characters, though, is something I'm a little iffy with. But hey, at least it answers the age-old question. Women do exist in the main Strikeforce Heroes series. The game has taken a more squad-like approach to the experience, which is complemented with the addition of switching between squad members during play. There are a few quality of life changes that I didn't enjoy, including the lack of an XP bar at the bottom and the removal of switching weapons with the scroll wheel, which I could understand if you're playing on a touchpad, but at least have a function where you can detect the external mouse and add controls to it. But to be fair, it's easy to adapt to any method, which I commend. There are now 8 new and returning classes that are unfortunately locked via fee now. The new ones include the Elite, who specialize in new experimental and elemental weapons, an uninspiredly named Ninja, and a Knight, which you have to unlock them by interacting with the ad at the bottom screen. Which, clever product placement, I guess. Wonder how that worked out. They all have their advantages and now disadvantages with the flaw mechanic, which obviously gives them more incentive to buy new soldiers and switch between them with any given situation. All those mechanics are fairly good, or at least tolerable, and as you keep playing, you start kind of vibing with them. Then you think to yourself, why do people hate this game? And then it hits you.
I'm tired.
So you're telling me I have to sit on my damn guys and gals just because they need a fucking nap? Get out of here with this realism shit, and then you should decide it's a good idea to keep them fighting. They're essentially paperweights. Why? That's easily the worst thing about this game, and it wasn't even locked to a timer. You have to replay a mission, preferably the tutorial, just to get it back, and that gives the added chance of making that character you played the mission with get tired as well. There's a few new modes for the game, mainly one-man army, which is just tagged with giant DK sprinkled in, and gun game, which has literally been in many shooters since the OG Counter-Strike, so I don't feel the need to explain it. The weapons have been balanced again, but now the RPG has been buffed to high hell, so no need to kamikaze your way to winning. Blades are its own category now, and SMGs are kinda tolerable now. Blueprints are kind of useless from what I'm understanding. They're all prints of prototype weapons you can cop at the shop, which are types of weapons like refined and flawless, but those prototypes are really under-leveled and are basically waste after level 3. So, oh yeah, the challenges, which are now side missions, are sprinkled across the map with rewards for beating those including classes with their altered forms. And with that, I think I've said enough about this game. If you're wondering about the ending, the scientist just kills off his entire board with nicely placed turrets. It also ends in a cliffhanger, which, guys, I don't think we're ever going to see that resolved. So that's Strikeforce Heroes 3, and the ending for the entire series. I can't even describe how much of a joy it was playing through these titles again. It really brought out the excitement I had when I first played it when I was in elementary school. And for Strikeforce Heroes 3, I don't really hate it, and I don't really like it either. It's a game that is fine by itself, but it has enough cons for me to not have any want or need to play through it again. It did feature a few ideas that I did like, of course, but are those really worth dealing with the rest of the game's problems? I'll let you be the judge of that. But, ending like this is a little depressing, right? I sure hope they knew that. I wonder what Sky 9 is dishing out now.
Corn, yes! Woo! We fucking did it!
Sensational.